Welcome to the Avenue. Kristen Balboni here with our resident thief, Tre Boston.
Let's go.
Tre, we got a lot to get into today.
We do.
I want to hear, first and foremost, your overall reaction to that Panthers loss to the Patriots.
Well, one thing we know that I'm going to do is it's going to be an honest conversation with us. I think we were very disappointed. You know, what we saw last week in week 3 was very hopeful for this team. We saw us fire on all cylinders. But this week we came out and I thought we started well. We started with the 15 scripted plays I told y'all about last week, and we scored. But after that missed PAT, it just seems like everything was going downhill for us. So it was a little bit of a disappointment, but what I did see was a team that was fighting. And that's what you want to see, us ending the game with the score. I know for y'all, it's a little upsetting, and it's like, hey, we don't care at that point. But I want you to know it's a good tell in how a team feels if they can finish the game up. And what I was most pleased with is after the game, when we do have tough games like this, we have to take accountability. And our head coach, everything starts at the top. And he took accountability. Roll the clip. You see him do just that.
I can honestly say that the effort and the energy from our guys is there. It keeps coming back to the execution. I have to look at that myself. Are we putting our guys in the best situation to be successful in every phase? I have to make sure that we have those conversations and that we keep progressing our football forward to find. I know who our guys are. I know they're not going to quit. I know they're going to continue to punch. They're going to continue to fight all the way through it, but it's not enough. We have to be able to come out and execute for 4 quarters to become the football team that I believe we can become, and the work starts right now. You know, it starts with me. It starts with our coaching staff. The players understand as well. This is not acceptable, and this is something that we have to come together and make sure that we're together on this thing so we're pushing forward.
Yeah.
I was going to say, just as a player, how does that make you feel when you see your coach publicly saying, this is on me?
Yeah, I mean, it's important. It's important to when you're building a nucleus, a foundation of this team. So as a leader of the team, as the players, we want to know that our coach has our back. We want to know our coach is going to be held accountable, and he knows that, hey, this is on him. But at the end of the day, what I loved as well is our leaders didn't just say, hey, it's his fault. No, our leaders showed up and said, no. He can't go out there and play for us. He can't give us all the energy in the world. We got to go out there like men, and we got to play. And you had J.C. Horn talking about that. Here goes the interview right here. Roll the clip.
Like, we got to come ready to play. We got to be ready to play on all 3 phases. And we wasn't. Offense wasn't ready. Defense wasn't ready. Special teams weren't ready. So, you know, as the team looked unprepared, it's supposed to fall on him, but you can't wake everybody up Sunday morning and have them ready to play. Like, we had a great week of practice. I can tell you that. We look prepared all week in practice. That don't mean you're going to play good on Sunday. You got to show up and do it, and that's not on him. We got to be ready. Follow me too, the DB, the team leaders, Chuba. We got to do a better job of upholding the standard in practice and having the guys ready too. So following all of us, it's not just on Coach Canales, you know, even though that's what everybody gonna say.
So it's always good to see your guys take accountability, man. Leaders like J.C. Horn, DB spoke up, Derrick Brown. Man, this team has leaders. I would like to see a few more guys get involved helping these guys. A'Shawn Robinson was a big guy who I saw on the sideline pumping these guys up. They know what's at task. This week is another week of opportunity. But that was my reaction on last week.
All right, well, I want to dive into a couple of different things. Special teams, Tre, has been such a highlight so far this season. Unfortunately, they just did not have a great game in week 4.
Yeah.
What did you see when you watched that? Like, how does that happen with a unit that is normally very, very solid for the Panthers, very good for the Panthers, and then just this bad day?
Yeah, I mean, first you let off a punt return that you have down almost inside the 15 for a touchdown. Again, you got the clip right here. Looking at it, we have them right where we want them. 15 yards. Oh, whoa, we got to make these tackles. I mean, without making that tackle, you let a guy like Marcus Jones, who is starting to get a name for himself in the punt return game, execute one. But then not only do you let him do that, we come back, we miss a field goal. I mean, we're hurting ourselves. Our special teams has been special. So we just made this kick last week, 57 yards. We trust our kicker, Fitzgerald, to make these kicks, and just didn't come down with this one. But after that, we get another punt return. We can't let not only just the one hurt us, but two, it's very big. We got to find a way. Your special teams every week, we're always going to tell you, has to be special. And last week wasn't the week for us. This team can't afford to have spectrums of the game. I'm talking phases of the game, offense, defense, or special teams. We can't afford for anybody to play bad and win ball games. And that game right there, we can label it as a bad game. You're going to have those games. But this week, I can guarantee that won't happen again. That was one off. Our special teams will go back to being the group that we utilize each and every week, and I know they'll get the job done.
Yeah, let's take a look at these numbers because, as you said, we do not expect that to continue. It was one bad game, but look at what they are capable of right here. I mean, usually the opponent field position after a return is at the 22. In this game, it was at the 43. Again, we know what this unit is capable of.
Yeah. I mean, again, you see a guy right here, Marcus Jones, end up with 167 yards off 3 returns and a touchdown. I just don't see that happening in week 5. So look for the special teams to get back to being special and us utilizing them as a tool on this team.
And Tre, you talk so much about complementary football. I want to read just a couple of numbers here about how that has looked in certain situations this season. So when you're talking about the defense, of course, your favorite unit, you look and you say, okay, this season opponents have scored 20 points off of turnovers. There's been the return touchdown that we just talked about with Marcus Jones. And then also there have been 14 points off of returns close to midfield. And if you didn't follow those numbers, what it is saying is that the defense has been in really tough situations. And this is a big if, right? Of course, we can never know how things are going to play out. But let's just say those points are removed. We would have the second fewest points allowed as a defense.
I think what that goes back to is each week I've told us we have to take care of the ball. This team is a team that if we play good and take care of the football, we will put ourselves in a successful path. That's what this defense is made of. Our defense has been put in some situations where it's been pretty hard for them to get out of. Our offense has put our defense in situations that they shouldn't have been in. We got to find what is that flow. That complementary football we saw at Atlanta. We saw it. That is the standard. How can we go back to that? How can we get back to practice and see, hey, what was the reason we caught our flow like this? That's what we're looking for when it comes to this team getting back into that. It's tough. It's tough right now.
One area, though, that we know this defense wants to improve on is getting pressure.
Yes.
We can look at the numbers here. So 32nd in sacks and 31st in quarterback pressures. Now, that doesn't always tell the story. I think especially in that Atlanta game, we saw them really being aggressive and making Michael Penix Jr. uncomfortable, making him confused. But those numbers are not something that the Panthers want to be known for, Tre. We know that. We also know that DJ Wanham was out in this last game. Pat Jones has been out a couple of games, and DJ Johnson no longer on the team. So, Tre, to me, that says your young guys, your draft picks, are really going to have to step up here. What do you see from that?
Yeah, I mean, again, on one side of the ball, we're talking about young receivers. On the other side of the ball, we're talking about a young pass rush. It sucks when your team did what it needed to do in the offseason and acquired its pass rush and went and drafted a few guys. You're looking to set up a growth when it comes to young guys learning from the older guys. But now our young guys are going to have to come in and they're going to have to play well and learn fast. What I've seen from them is what I like. I like that these young guys have been able to get off the ball. They've been able to set the edge. They've been playing good ball for us, but they're going to have to continue that because right now, if you look at the numbers, I believe we're 31st when it comes to getting pressure. Yes, 31st in pressure rate with 4 or less pass rushers. So we got to find a way to get to the football and help our secondary. And our linebackers. But then you have first the Chiefs with 50%. So it shows you that we have a ways to get when it comes to finding ways to get our 4 after the quarterback to make a difference.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, you mentioned young receivers. You mentioned young guys stepping up. Let's talk about a guy that we are going to get to see this week According to
hope
head
so.
coach Dave
I hope
Canales,
so.
he said that it is Jimmy Horn Jr. time. Of course, we have talked about these injuries to this receiver core. Xavier Legette has been out the last couple of weeks. David Moore just went down. That was really tough. But Jimmy Horn Jr. has been waiting for his opportunity. Panthers fans have been waiting to see Jimmy Horn Jr. Tre, what can we expect from him?
Listen, I spoke with Jimmy Horn Jr. in New England on the sideline before the game, and man, he told me he was ready. I said, Jimmy, man, listen, your time's going to come, and your time's going to come soon. And he let me know, man, Tre, I'm ready. I can't wait to get the opportunity, man. Know that y'all can trust me, and I'm going to be special for us. And when you have a guy like that, confident, knowing that he loved practicing, he said every day was his game day, man, I can't wait to see Jimmy Horn on this field doing what he's made to do, and that's play football. We need somebody on offense who's going to take the top off and who's going to make sure that we got deep threats that they can now be aware of. Because as of lately, defenses aren't scared of us when it comes to 15 or more yards. Jimmy Horn is going to be somebody who we see a splash of as well. Do we see him in the return game, letting him get loose in the open field? Man, I am ready. We are ready to see what Jimmy Horn Jr. is capable of.
That is certainly something that we can all be excited about in Week 5, which leads me to one of my favorite segments because, Tre, you always show us how the Panthers can turn the page. So let's turn the page with Tre right now.
Let's turn the page. So turning the page this week, we've already identified what went wrong. All right, now we're going to go into practice. We got to figure out not only what went wrong, but now we got to focus on those things. Our leaders have to be our leaders, and I think they're capable of doing that. Taking care of the football is how we win games. I've told y'all, complimentary football, but how is the complimentary football come? What are the stats we need to look for? Each game, I've already told you, 100 yards rushing has to happen. We have to find ways to pass for over 275 yards. If it's not over 275 yards, it's okay. That means we probably rush for over 150, but we have to be well in the pass or the run. I think we rely on this run game. Right now, Chuba, you got Rico Dowdle, you have ETN. These guys are starting to get into a flow of this three-headed little monster that we're creating, but Chuba is the guy. He just averaged almost 5 yards per carry last week. Let's find ways to get him the ball early, play action pass off those tight ends, just like we did early in this game. If we can find our rhythm, take care of the ball on offense, it can look just like we started last game. And on defense, man, you guys look well. When you're not put in positions across the other side of the field, past the 50, you guys have played good ball. Trust in yourselves. I'm seeing the trust amongst the program and the foundation of the playbook. You guys know what you're capable of. Put it together. Have no doubt in what we're capable of doing, and we'll make sure that we turn the page going into a Miami that's a little hurt. They got to win, but they're hurt. It's time to make sure when they come into the bank, they leave with the L, and we make sure we end up with a W. One win in the column is all we need this week.
I gotta say, I haven't seen the L in a long time.
I'm
like the
just saying,
actual L. I love it. All right, we have turned the page. There is a fresh page now. Tre, right now, though, we get to welcome in our guest someone that Panthers fans love, someone that Tre Boston loves. Let's welcome to the show, Mr. Jerricho Cotchery. Jerricho, so great to see you. Thank you so much for joining us today. Thank you for seeing your teammate right here. I know you're excited.
I'm excited, man. Leader of leaders. You're talking about a man who doesn't say much, but when he talks, everybody listens. Hey, Koch, what's up, baby?
Oh, man, nothing much. I appreciate you guys having me on.
I'm excited. I'm excited to get your knowledge, especially as we talk about this wide receiver core. I want to start right at the beginning, though. As we look at this game against the Patriots, we saw the Panthers go right down the field with those scripted plays. It looked efficient. They come away with points on that drive. So, Jerricho, when you watch it, what did you see from this offense? And is there a way to, even though as we get into it, of course, you can't script plays, but is there a way to kind of take that rhythm and apply it into the rest of the game?
Yeah, I do think so. I just love the way that they've come out the past 2 weeks offensively. You know, it's just keeping the defense off balance and using a variety of guys, you know, to keep the chains moving and actually get in the end zone on those opening drives. And so the way that they've established themselves right from the start has been very impressive, you know, and there are a lot of good takeaways from it. You know, just guys making plays. and running backs moving the sticks and just really, really good play calling, keeping the defense off balance. I think all of those things can, be carried over to the rest of the game. But, when certain things transpire in the game, that kind of takes you off script a little bit, so there are a lot of things that play a role into not establishing or continuing in that same momentum that you begin the game with.
Now, Koch, looking at this wide receiver room, what's your assessment of it right now? We got a few hiccups when it comes to injuries. We got XL who's down. We have David Moore who just took an injury this last game. Now that you have Renfro, you have T-Mac, you have Tremaine, what are you looking at in getting these guys going as a receiving core?
Well, we know T-Mac is a dude.
Oh, yeah.
So, that's one thing to just get him involved continuously. That seems to be a good focus there for the offensive coordinator and the play callers there. But for the younger guys with the injuries, that they have at the position, it's you understanding your role, and working to fulfill that role the best way that you can, and so communicating that as coaches. But you understanding as a player what that role will be, and you need to excel in that role each and every week, so need guys to step up in that regard. And it's going to be, working tirelessly throughout the week in the film room. If you can get extra time with Bryce, after practice and things of that nature, you need to get that to establish chemistry and all of those things. So it's gonna require some work, but I think they certainly can get it done.
We're talking about these young guys. Someone that we are going to get to see this week, Jimmy Horn Jr. I know that we are excited about it. The fans are excited about it. And, the thing that we have heard so much about and seen during the training camp is that speed. So, Jerricho, what can he do? An explosive player, a speedster, what can he do for this offense?
Yeah, I think that speed element that you add to an offense always can help you out in a variety of ways, right? You can't lean the coverage always to, T-Mac and try to take him away when you have that speed element on the other side or, on the field with T-Mac, and so just guys fitting in that way. I'm very interested to see how they fit him in. That speed is going to add a lot to the offense, I believe. If if the transition is seamless, from that standpoint, and then Renfro can move the chains, and so I think guys fitting into their specific roles is going to be valuable to the offense moving forward.
Now, Koch, I know your coaching hat has been off since you left the game, being a former wide receiver coach here as well. Koch, looking at this team, analyzing it, what do we do well, and what would you like to see us continue doing?
Well, we've gotten off to good starts. I think there's a lot of fight in the team. You go back to the Arizona game, and there's an opportunity there for the guys to lay down, as we would say, on the NFL level. But those guys fought back into it and gave themselves a chance to win the game, and that carried over to the next week, culminating in a shutout win versus Atlanta. So they're starting the game pretty well. The complementary football piece of it was there. It was definitely there, against Atlanta. And we started the game off in that way versus the Patriots, but you had that let down there on special teams early on where the returner lulled the guys to sleep. And, they're thinking that he's going to fair catch it. And next thing you know, he's running the other way with it. But I think, just that complimentary piece, that's there for us. And I would love to see that continue to display itself.
Tre was off camera, but when you said complimentary football, he started going like this, right? You guys know a little something about complimentary football. I want to ask you about, you talked a little bit about this, about these young guys getting ready, about trying to get with Bryce after practice, those things, and try to build that connection. But I want to ask you in terms of, what do you do to get those guys involved early on, especially when they don't have that connection? Is it getting the ball out to them in those scripted plays quickly? Is it developing that when you're practicing? How do we get that ball spread around a little bit more?
Well, I think as you're game planning, you see what these guys, what their skill set, the skill set that is going to be valuable to us moving the ball and putting points on the board. you get them involved that way as you're game planning. And as you go through meetings this week, guys get to see, what their specific plays are, for them in the game, and just try to execute those at a high level, and so I can't speak to specifically what that would be in order to get those guys involved, but we know that Jimmy is a good route runner, polished guy coming out of college, and that speed element to it, that provides a good good option for us offensively. And then Renfro, he does a lot of things well, and the main thing he does is move the chains, and so, just getting them involved from a game planning standpoint, where those guys see, where those opportunities will present themselves and be ready to capitalize on them.
I want to ask you another question, Jerricho. Looking at the Dolphins game, unfortunately, we saw that terrible injury to Tyreek Hill on Monday night. So now the Dolphins have to regroup. I know they brought in Darren Waller, but you lose a guy like Tyreek Hill. What does that game plan look like the next week when you lose your number one target?
Well, you got to prevent, the letdown part of it, where you look and you say, man, we lost our best guy. We lost our top playmaker. How we're going to move forward with this. You got to move past that part of it and think about what they've done, down there. They've always brought in a collection of playmakers, guys with a lot of speed, and, they've always tried to utilize all of those guys. And so they still have that. And so I don't see them really slowing down much, because of how they approach things, using a variety of guys, to make their offense successful. So, I just see it, running backs, speed wise, those guys offer a variety of things. Darren Waller, he's a force to deal with. Yeah. On the receiving end of it, goes up and catches the ball like receivers. So they're still going to be tough for sure.
I just hope they figure it out after this week.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
Let's take a week. Let's take a week to really get going there, Miami.
All right, now, Koch, man, we need some feel-goods, man. So listen, Koch, I got to ask you, what was your best memory as a Carolina Panther?
Man, there are so many. There are so many for sure, but I think, obviously, the one that's going to be up there at the top is, winning the AFC Championship game, the NFC Championship game, beating Arizona there in the bank. But I think, for us as a team in that 2015 season, and everything built off of that 14 season, and a lot of guys know that, have communicated that. But beating Seattle at their place in 2015.
That's when we kind of knew. That's when the light switched for us.
That stadium was loud. It's a loud stadium now, but that thing there was quiet that day.
Yeah.
And so that was a moment for us, because we knew what we were going to do. We believed that, and we fought. We fought the entire game, and we were able to get it done. And so that was a great moment for us, and a great plane ride back to Charlotte.
I bet.
Now, Koch, hey, I got you here, man. The people need to know, Koch. Did you catch it? No. We know he caught it. We knew he caught it. Hey, roll the clip, man. Roll the clip. Oh my God, man. Koch, talk us through it, baby.
I don't understand. understand.
No doubt about it. No doubt about it. You get up and you see me, signaling to the ref. Like, there's no doubt about it. I know I caught that. Getting up, there's no doubt about it. Going to the sideline, everyone on our sideline is saying the same thing, coming over, congratulating me on the catch. Man, great catch. We're watching the replay, and then all of a sudden we get the news from, the replay official that it was the call on the field would stand, right? And that's because they ruled it, an incomplete pass, But the way that I got up, you can tell, the way it's securing the catch, all you got to do is secure it at that point, and that ball doesn't move or do anything else. And I get up and know for sure that, that's a completed pass, So, it was unfortunate, man. But yeah, that's a catch for sure.
Yeah, man. Listen, all week long, Coach was telling us we'd have one call that might not go our way. And little did we know, it happened just like that, man.
Oh.
Well, listen, Koch, man, I love you, boss, man. Love seeing your face. Tell the family I said what's up, man. And we'll holler at you later, man.
Love you, brother. Appreciate you guys having me on.
All right, now it is time to get to one of my favorite parts of the show, your questions. You always tweet them for Tre. So, Tre, we're going to jump in with @EddlesDope. And you guys, I just want to say I'm trying my best on these pronunciations. If I'm not getting them right, let me know. I want to. He wants to know, what did a good week of practice in 2015 look like, and how did the team carry that over to Sundays? What's the trick?
Okay, I like this question. In 2015, I would say this. When we came in from our day off on Wednesday, we knew early in the morning that we were going to get a game plan, and we were going to make sure that we stuck to it. We were going to listen to our coaches, and we were going to make sure when we went out to practice that day that we did every single thing that they said. Because Wednesday when we came in the morning, that was our day to talk that talk. Wednesday, we would come in and tell coaches, hey, we didn't like it. Hey, we're angry. Hey, we don't think this is going to work. And when we went out for that Wednesday practice or that Thursday practice, we knew that, hey, we're going to get it together. Meaning after that practice, you come back in the film, guys are on the same page, leading to the Friday practice, Fast Friday. Guys moving around fast, guys knowing what they're going to do, knowing what we're going to get. Everybody on one accord with confidence and belief in what we're about to take a part of. So that ended up leading us to Sundays, where we knew we're taking one game at a time. We don't care what last week happened. We don't care what next week holds for us. It's this week, what's at task, and let's make sure that we check off the box for each one of these. And that's how we did in 2015 when it came to taking the game from the practice to the field. And it's something that this team in 2025 can do the same thing of. Take practice. They've said they've been practicing well, but now we got to take it to the field. That's bringing the energy. That's having the confidence. That's making sure that you run your bread and butters. We have to believe in our bread and butters when it's time to get to them. And if we can do that and have confidence in our schemes and in our play, you'll find ourselves on a rhythm getting a W in the W column.
You know, maybe a little cinnamon butter, a little garlic butter,
I'm just
different
saying,
flavors
the Texas
of your
Roadhouse rolls,
oh my,
baby.
so good.
Come on now.
All right, next question from @BigPlay Guyan wants to know, when JT Sanders is healthy, should the Panthers use more offensive sets with Sanders and Tommy Tremble together at the same time, a little 12 personnel?
Yeah, I do love a little 12 pers. What I will say I love about it is because we want to run the ball. You know, I believe our bread and butter is Chuba. We want to make sure that we get downhill and get that going. So we end up in play action pass with Bryce. That opens up the windows for him, as well as getting T-Mac in those windows and the guys started. So I think 12 personnel does help us, especially when you have tight ends like Tremble and Sanders, who are athletic tight ends. Not only are they willing to be good blockers, but they're able to catch balls and pause and make sure that they, I had to do that, and get out and get yak yards. And that's something that we have to take advantage of when it comes to our tight ends. So I think 12 personnel is something that could be used a little bit more.
And Tre, talking to Brad Idzig, the offensive coordinator, at the beginning of the season, he said they wanted to use 12 personnel. You can see what your defense is giving you. You get out there early and you get to use it. And especially with the transformation that JT Sanders made with his body, losing that weight, that's something that they're excited about. So certainly hoping JT Sanders gets back soon so we can see more of that. All right, next question from @Camacho Man wants to know, from a defensive perspective, what changes when facing a left-handed quarterback? Do you have to flip the scheme or anything like that?
Okay. So look, you do have to flip the scheme, but it's not so much the scheme, but as in your eyesight. So usually when you're facing a quarterback, like you guys are facing me, when you have a right-handed quarterback, when he comes out, when he turns his shoulders, he's going to be looking this way first for his progression. It's going to be y'all side, left to right. So for me, when he opens up, you know your progression is going to go this way. When you have a left-handed quarterback, it's the opposite. His progression is going to start from y'all's right to left. So you want to flip your progression knowing which way might be progression. Why is that important? Because now when they're going opposite side and the progression starts from the opposite side, when he opens up, he can't open up this way and look this way. He got to open up that shoulder. So now we know where he's going with the ball. So for me, Guys have to be available for that. They got to know that their eyesight is going to be a little bit different this week. The reads will come out a little bit different, but it's all football. Same schemes, same routes, same guys being in the same places. That's all you got to know. And rushing the passer, knowing which side is the blind side and what side is the back side, so you can get that run, reach.
Hope to see a lot of that in this game. All right, our last question from @OB Panthers. This is an interesting one, Tre, and I'm excited to get your take on this because I don't think we've had a question like this before. Do you think the media training of players has dropped the fan interest and excitement?
Ooh, okay. From a fan standpoint, I can understand this, but if I can speak to you guys from both sides of this, one thing I would let you know is these guys, I think they're trained very well, but I think these guys are in a state of knowing what they're in. I think it's of being a professional. That's knowing that, hey, when we talk, we're being intentional. I told you guys earlier in the show, when I'm seeing our leaders talk, it's intentional. I will tell you, don't expect these guys to be excited for how they're playing right now. These guys are taking it serious. These guys are going about their business. And I think you will see excitement coming. You know, when they feel like they have excitement and they feel that they can give you what you need, you'll feel that. But right now, I think they're in the point of being serious. They're trying to take their jobs well, knowing that, hey, we can't come out here playing. We can't come out here too excited if we're not going to execute. They know the job and the task at hand. And I love the way these guys are handling the media right now because I do see a seriousness that these guys want to get the job done and they want to get it right. And not today, they want to get it right yesterday.
And like you said, it goes back to that accountability that you talked about at the beginning of the show, is we do see guys coming out and saying, this is not on our coach, this is us. And that's something that you may not always get with that media training. And Tre, I just want to say, I mean, you know, you've been a player and a member of the media. As someone who has covered this team for a long time, there's, of course, going to be conversations in the locker room. You know that very well, that are not going to come out. And sometimes they get asked about those and they say, look, we're going to keep that between ourselves. But on the sidelines, when you go into that locker room, you're really getting a lot of the same guys. You're not getting someone that is totally different when the cameras are not rolling, and then, or someone that is totally different on the sideline, and then they're coming in and they're not really saying what they mean. As you said, they're going to be more reserved, especially now. But I can tell you that, you know, you're not getting one Derek Brown when he's off camera and then another Derek Brown when he's not. So that is a really interesting question. It's so cool to get the player perspective on that, because you're the same when the cameras are off as
y'all know y'all got me, man. Hey, we're going to keep it real.
All right. Thank you so much for joining us on The Avenue, Tre. Thank you as always. And thank you so much to our amazing, amazing viewers. We appreciate it. We'll see you next Wednesday.
See ya.